People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all doing well and safe. I hope you're all in good spirits. Now, let's see exactly what's concerning Arsenal Football Club, where transfer rumours and those sort of things are concerned. If you give me a second, I can share my screen and we can get straight into it. Big up you lot, people. Let's see exactly what's being concerned. Now, Benjamin Sesko is the man of the moment, the man of the week. Every week, we're linked with several players, and then it feels like aggressively over that next week, there's one player who's basically an Arsenal player and everything but name. Benjamin Sesko is a player I've got a lot of time for. I've done videos about him. I've spoken about him before. He's 21 years of age. I think he's got a lot of qualities that he could add towards Arsenal Football Club. And now everybody has their own opinions on him. At this moment in time, the landscape is that, Arsenal, Manchester United and Chelsea are all fighting for him. Fabrizio Romano on Mr. Sesko, who will be taking part in the Euros, people. Apparently, Benjamin Sesko is taking some more days, to decide his future. There's still a new contract proposal from RB Leipzig on the table. Meanwhile, Sesko said no to a 30 million euro net salary from Saudi. Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea have all approached Sesko since March to April. Now, that correlates with, obviously, you would have seen his agent pictured at several footballing grounds and speaking in the media. Now, it's an important step for the 21-year-old. Life has come at him quickly. He's someone that did well in the youth league, did well at, the sister club of RB Leipzig, Salzburg. Took a while to really get significant first-team football this season at Leipzig. But in his first season in that division, he ended it strongly. And at 21 years of age, he presents a good market opportunity. His release clauses are rumoured 55-odd million quid. He's 21 years of age, so there's a lot of upside. Again, he's like a horse when he gets going. He can score goals. He offers a physical output. His general play is good. There's a lot of raw materials and a good foundation to build upon. I rarely stick my neck out paws like that, but if we don't sign him, I think in the next 2 years, he'll be all the range, people, and he'd be the perfect complement. Now, I can't begrudge him. He's got a lot to consider. Does he reckon he's moving too fast? Again, he's just joined Leipzig. And I know in today's day and age, when you're a young, exciting player, you play decent for a period of time, big clubs want to buy you, life comes at you quickly, essentially. But he's got a lot to consider. Do you get a new deal at Leipzig, which obviously Leipzig want? They keep a good player. Again, they're going to lose Xavi Simons, but they've got a decent crop of players. They give him, he gets a new deal. He's got stability. Again, Leipzig will probably extend his, but what I mean by extend his release clause is simply put up it from 55-odd million to something ridiculous, or, remove it in its entirety. Again, people can say what they want about Chelsea, and I don't want to praise Chelsea, but they are a massive club and there is a lot to like about them and their project if they get it right. Manchester United, again, they're in disarray on the face of it, but it's a historical massive club, and in many ways Arsenal is the envy of a lot of clubs who haven't got the stability in the project. So there's a lot for him to consider. Hopefully he picks Arsenal in that regards, people. Again, he's taking his time to consider such a move. Where has it gone, people? Because actually David Ornstein spoke about him as well. And again, this just shows you no matter how much you plan your videos, things can go left, people. But I can save us really and truly. It's not meant to say that there. If you allow me to copy and paste this, and we can see what Mr. David Ornstein specifically said, people. Apologies. Is it going to load? I guess we're going to have to wait, people, again. Oh, there we go, people. David Ornstein on Sesko has said, I've spoken before about how highly Arsenal think of him. He's pretty much top or very prominent on their list of candidates. Things aren't actually happening with him just yet. There are a lot of conversations. So there's probably a lot of indirect conversations judging his willingness to sign for the club, selling the project, vaguely seeing, the financial makeup of his contract, seeing how he ties into the team, maybe some indirect conversations beyond Edu and his agent, Sesko and Mikel Arteta. And again, there's a lot of other moving parts and things Arsenal might be working on. Now, again, I'm no financial expert. I'm not a finance man, but Arsenal are not run by an oil state. So we don't have an endless pit of money, even though getting back into the Champions League and things like that, is making our financial outlook look a lot better. But at the same time, when you've got a 55-odd million pound release clause, it's still a lot of money. But again, it means we've got more money to put resources elsewhere. I'm a big fan of Isaac, and we know that's another debate in itself, prizing him from Newcastle. But you're hearing everything from 80 to 100 million. You're hearing 100-odd million for Osimhen. Gyökeres has got a release clause of 80, and you're hearing them kind of figures there. He presents someone that is somewhat cheaper and allows us to maybe have extra funds to go after a central midfielder, a winger, and any other area Mikel Arteta wants to improve upon. So Ornstein and Romano, the oracles of news, have spoken. Dean Jones has said that on the Sesko front, nothing is imminent. So at the moment with Arsenal, it's not something advanced or something close. Despite all the reports at the moment, we still have to see what the player wants to do. The first step will be with Leipzig. He received two very big proposals. It will be around 30 million euros net per season salary from Saudi, but Sesko decided to say no because he wants to continue in Europe at the best competitive level. Now that correlates with what a lot of us have seen, in that while rumours initially are saying Sesko's more or less going to become an Arsenal player very imminently, we need to calm down. It's the calm before the storm of sorts, people. And again, Chelsea apparently are ready to trigger his release clause, people. So I don't know if Arsenal intend to just pay his £56 million release clause in whole, which obviously has to be ran up front, and that obviously has ramifications for our budget, or do we want to negotiate, maybe a bit more, but a breakdown that's more favorable to us. So yeah, people, since April he's had Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester United all looking at him. Apparently Arsenal are said to believe they're the ones in the driving seat and have an early edge, though that may matter little if Chelsea force their way in and activate the 21-year-old's clause outright. And where Mikhail Mudryk was concerned, we've got to be easy of being in the front race, people. We've been linked with Viktor Tregunskov. I can't pronounce the Girona lad's name, people, but the Ukrainian has been linked with Arsenal. Allegedly, Mikel Arteta is a big fan of his. As you can see there, he's been linked with AC Milan, Bayern Munich, as well as Tottenham Hotspur. Apparently, he's got a 30 million euros price tag on his head. He got 8 goals and 7 assists in all comps, people, for Girona, because they finished third and were leading the title for a while. And, you look at him, you look at the other Ukrainian lad up front, you look at Salvio. There's a lot of players that, Salvio's going to City, that are envied by other people. And at 26 years of age, he provides a certain level of experience, people. The man himself on a potential move has said, all players dream big. They want to play in big clubs, top leagues. I'm not unique in this. Since I was young, I wanted to play at a high level. And of course, I like that there are important clubs in Europe looking out for me. I don't really know what will happen in football. Anything can happen. Maybe I was able to play my last game. I don't know what will happen to my future. Girona has given me a lot. I'm very grateful. Furthermore, my family is very happy here and I'm very comfortable. So that hasn't someone that's talked up potentially leaving, but isn't necessarily against it, people. Again, the Sesko stuff is getting redundant at this point, people. Once again, Chelsea are keen to trigger his release clause. Arsenal plan to accept Smith-Rowe offer. Arsenal will accept big money offers for Smith-Rowe in the upcoming summer transfer window. As we know, the 23-year-old, soon to be 24, has been linked with Wolves, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Fulham, etc., Ipswich on loan, actually. And he made 19 appearances last season, but that equates to, as it says here, 474 minutes, which isn't enough really for a youngish kind of player, if I'm honest with you. Zinchenko could obviously be sold, people, and so could Kirill. We'll get onto that in slightly a second. Renault Waters is still linked with Rangers and actually has been linked with Southampton. Romano has given Arsenal some hope of potentially still being able to sign Martin Zubimendi, despite João Neves also being linked as an alternative. We keep hearing a lot of stories about Martin Zubimendi, who has been linked several times, mostly with Arsenal and Barcelona. While some outlets are now stating that he is unlikely to leave Real Sociedad as he's happy and settled in his hometown and not looking to leave the Basque region. However, my understanding remains is that this is not decided yet. Zubimendi's future is his decision. It's still not clear yet. It remains an open situation and he has a 60 million release clause. João Neves has been mentioned as a possible alternative for Arsenal midfield. My information remains that Neves has been scouted by Arsenal, Manchester United and Man City, all clubs interested, but nothing is advanced at this stage. While it's also important to remember that Neves' price tag is double compared to Zubimendi, as his release clause at Benfica is 120 million euros. So can't see Arsenal paying that outright. So it's best to say that one's done. Romano on Jakub Kirill has said Arsenal could sell Kirill this summer, but only for an important proposal. Kirill to AC Milan stories are also back again. He's always been appreciated by AC Milan as he was on their list also in January, but at the moment Milan have not approached Arsenal yet. So AC Milan haven't approached us. There isn't a conversation to be had. If we do sign another left back, if Zinchenko leaves and we sign another left back, then Kirill would probably be last in the pecking order to the new left back, Tomiyasu, Timber. So it would be a bit peak. I think Zinchenko's more likely to leave. I guess it's up to Kirill. There has been opportunities for him to get first team football, but he's never going to be the first choice at left back or at left centre half unless a miracle happens. So it's up to him. Couldn't begrudge him for wanting to return to Italy and playing for a club as big as Milan. The Italian links have not gone away since he signed for our football club. And I think Kirill is I think Kirill, Zinchenko, Partey, Gabriel Jesus, emith-rowe, they're players that the club will be interested to hear any potential offers that entice them, but they won't actively look to move them on potentially in the same vein they probably will do to Kieran Tierney. Happy birthday to Tierney. It's his birthday today. Obviously Lokonga, Tavares, people of that ilk, if that makes sense. So we'll have to see. Keep him back on the front with emith-rowe. Apparently, he's been informed by Arsenal that the club will not stand in his way to move this window, and the player himself is understood to feel that he needs to move on from the Emirates this summer. The Gunners want more than 30 million. Apparently, his reps are touching base with a host of Premier League clubs. It's understood that Brentford, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Fulham, and Wolves are amongst the clubs who are looking into a potential deal, says Graham Bailey. Now, they're all good clubs for him, really and truly, and he's got 2 years left on his deal. I mean, even if we didn't believe he's going to be the emith-rowe of the initial, that when he bursted on the scene, to have 2 years, for him to be 23, 24, still get all this interest and to only have 2 years left on his deal, I think that's a bit shocking from us, really and truly. Would love for emith-rowe to stay. Think he's got a lot to offer, but it is what it is in that regards, people. Apparently, he's easily a 40 million player, but because of his lack of game time, that figure might be hit. Arsenal could hope for 35, but I think we might be looking at 30 million as a starting point when offers are landing. And I mean, he's got 2 years left on his deal. If he got regular football at this upcoming season, then you just never know. In relation to Laporta of Barcelona, he has said Zubimendi and Kimmich, just as we don't need a big sell, I don't think we need big additions. Have you seen the guns that Real Madrid are assembling? Yes, you do. You're bringing a toothpick to, modern warfare, really, with Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo, young Endrick, Arda Güler, Modric for another year, and the list goes on. But fair enough, that's what he's going to say. You need players. Maybe a midfielder or a wing player, but we also have players in the youth system who can occupy these positions. La Masia is always going to produce great players and have got some good players, people. But boy, I'm not too sure. Why I mention that is obviously Arsenal have been linked with Joshua Kimmich and Zubimendi, so you want to just watch out as to what's going on. We've already spoken about, the Ukrainian lad of Girona who has a 30 million euros release clause. Charles Watson, Kirill and Zinchenko said there are a few players at Arsenal right now who, while the club do not actively want to sell, they will consider offers for should good ones arrive this summer. And I would include Zinchenko and Kirill on that list. I can't see both being allowed to go in the same window. I can't, and I don't think it makes sense. I'm more likely to move. It's a weird one because on a footballing front, I think Zinchenko is given a hard time by some Arsenal fans. I think there's a lot of use for him. And so my natural bias would be to keep Zinchenko. But at the same time, I'd rather keep Kirill. He's under a longer contract. There's a bit more of a use in that he's, we're not exactly flush with centre-half options. So, yeah, I'm probably more likely to keep Kirill. But who is more likely to bring in a better fee, really? Would it be Zinchenko or Kirill? Smash the like button and let me know. Letting both go would be silly. At Arteta's own admission, we've got one of the smallest squads. So I think fans need to temper expectations in that there's plenty of players that we're going to need to move on in the next 2 years and bring in, but you're not going to see 7 come in or 10 come in and 10 go out. And even if that did happen, we finally got stability. We'd have to allow these new players to adapt, and I believe we need a 20-man squad, whether players are playing or not. I know you can't keep everyone happy, but we need a 20-man squad. I think we've got 11 to 12 players, assuming Trossard's on the bench, that are truly trusted. Maybe 14 at a push if I stop my own personal opinion. That needs to be 20 for a team that wants to compete across 4 competitions. So, yeah, on Zinchenko, Charles also said, I think some of the criticism that came his way last season was harsh. There's no doubt that Arsenal moved on from him a bit in the last 12 months. Arsenal shifted things a bit tactically, which has seen his importance on the team diminish. True, and I think they're both in problems because of the tactical shift. As we get better creativity-wise, the pros to Zinchenko's games are not the positive tonic for the cons, really and truly. With someone like Timber, it's kind of redundant, especially if you get a left-sided 8. We don't need to talk about creativity in that left-back role beyond a certain point or over leverage that with Zinchenko. We big up Tim before that, not that we've seen much of him, but he can do the other aspects. With Kyrgios, I think you would have seen at a point last season, Mikel Arteta just reverted to him being a conventional left back, which it had to be done. A good manager plays to his players' strengths and weaknesses, and Kyrgios did well, but I don't think that's what Arteta wants to see. And for Kyrgios, he's at a big club, he's at a great club, and I don't want him to ever accept that he can't play at left back or at centre half or wherever. But you've got to be realistic about the situation. God forbid there's injuries, and injuries do happen, and rotation and stuff. You're not getting anywhere near Gabriel's place. A fit Timber and Tommy Asu are better options than you, in my opinion. A new left back will probably be ahead of you in the pecking order. And if push comes to shove, I reckon Mikel Arteta is more likely to give significant game time to a Zinchenko than a Kyrgios, people. But I could be wrong. We've gone over the Zubimendi stuff already. We've gone over the Neves stuff already. Juventus allegedly have reached an agreement with Douglas Luiz. So I guess that assumes personal terms. They now need to negotiate with Aston Villa. Douglas Luiz has been again linked with Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Juventus, folks. So we'll have to see what's going on there. Going back to Kimmich for a second, Mundo Deportivo are saying in Germany, they say that Kimmich is disappointed in Bayern Munich because they asked him to push his renewal to after the Euros, and the player felt hanged and not valued enough. To be fair, they're violating really and truly. If I was him, I'd feel the same way. Ben Jacobs has said that Manchester City are still the most likely destination for Bruno Guimaraes. People, if he is to move on, they're the only club allegedly contemplating triggering his 100 million release clause or offering a similar number to it. Contact's already been made. Arsenal appreciate Guimaraes, but will only proceed if the price drops. PSG are not actively working on him. El Hilal people have discussed triggering his clause, but I very much doubt Guimaraes would. I mean, you never know. Kevin De Bruyne is talking about Saudi. You never know. It's eye-watering generational wealth kind of money, but I'd imagine he's not keen to do that right now. Alexander Isak has been speaking about his future. He's been linked with Arsenal and Barcelona. It's fair to say we're not going to get the 24-year-old who in his second season, as it says there, got 2 assists and 25 goals for Newcastle. He said, I'm really, really happy at Newcastle. I had my best season of my career. You can't underestimate that. I love everything about the club, the fans, the city. I don't really have any thoughts on moving or anything like that. I'm having a great time and I'm very happy with my life. Fair enough, people. He then also said, people, it's not something I speculate about within the team or the club. There's been no talk or drama around it. I've not received any information from the club that they would have to sell me. So again, I'm sure if you was to ask him on a private level, of course there's clubs he'd want to play for, but if there's no offers, there's no point speculating. Just keep doing your job for Newcastle and endearing yourself to the coaching staff, the players and your teammates, and the talking points like what we're doing right now will keep finding itself, people. So yeah, people, it is what it is. I would love his that, but it's fair to say that that case is shut. We've gone over the David Ornstein stuff. Romano has said we're very happy with David Raya and his move will be made permanent, which I don't imagine anyone didn't know. A bit of a dream, and definitely with Arsenal's progress in the last 2 years, while it hasn't been enough to beat Manchester City to the Premier League title, Julian Alvarez, who recently signed a new deal, if I'm not mistaken, could leave Manchester City this summer in search of more game time. He's been linked with Atletico Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain. I don't think Man City will sell us any players, but he would be a perfect option for us, really and truly. Versatile, can press well, can do everything that we need. Obviously, he's young so he can grow with the team. Wealth of experience. You know, he's completed football. What hasn't he won, really? He's won the World Cup. He's won everything, and he's been at City or in Europe for 2 minutes, really and truly. I would love him at the carpet, but as I always say, the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. Waters, as you saw in one report earlier, is linked with Rangers. Now, apparently, unnamed championship clubs are looking at him, people, which Southampton could be a good move for him. You never know, people, really and truly. He spent time at Manchester United, Arsenal, as well as Spurs as well in his short career. So we wish him all the best on his future. We've gone over this already, but a goalkeeper that was once linked with Arsenal, Las Palmas goalkeeper Alvaro Valles, is drawing interest from Chelsea. So I guess the search for Aaron Ramsdale's long-term replacement still goes on. Again, let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. Make sure your notification bells are on. Do like, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep boosting the YouTube algorithm. This summer, we've got to 60,000 subscribers. Can we get to 70 and so on and so forth? So yeah, if you haven't hit the like button, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. God bless you all. Check out the other videos. Peace.
I think like